Hey everyone, welcome to KU Sports Extra Omaha, kind of like the real world Austin. Only it's KU Sports Extra, and we're in Omaha, the CenturyLink Center, home of tomorrow's Kansas versus Wichita State basketball game. First thing that comes to mind.
First thing that comes to mind is that Wichita State, Greg Marshall, great coach, tried to paint the Shockers as the underdogs here and went through that whole thing. I don't think that feels like this kind of game. I don't think there's a real underdog.
Right.
I guess Vegas has made Kansas a 1.5 favorite. That's not an underdog game.
No.
And I always felt that Kansas felt to me like a 3 seed. Wichita State should have been probably a 4 seed along with Northern Iowa. This is more a 3-4 game, which is more befitting of a Sweet 16 than a round of 32 game. I think this will just be a great game. Everything about it kind of feels that way.
It's funny because both teams are kind of playing the underdog thing. There were KU guys talking in the locker room about, well, we just want to prove something to people, things that people didn't think we could do. I mean, getting to the Sweet 16 is not really proving something at Kansas. That's expected, not something that people don't think they can do. So it's funny how just that little delicate mentality and mindset and those things could make a difference in a game like this because everything could be so hugely important. Let's talk about the matchups real quick. Two starting fives that are pretty different. Kansas obviously has a little more size. Wichita State clearly more experience, as you wrote about in a column last week. Let's start at point guard. Frank Mason, Fred VanVleet. Edge?
The edge got to be Fred VanVleet against almost any point guard in the country.
Yeah.
But Frank Mason relishes this kind of a game because he is the underdog.
Sure.
And in high school he took on guys, in AAU he took on guys, in prep school he took on guys, and in the Big 12, loaded with great point guards, he took on guys. So don't worry about him having any fear. Fearless Frank Mason will be ready, and Fred VanVleet was just absolutely terrific in the first game.
Yeah, that might be as important as any matchup. Let's move on. Ron Baker, Wayne Selden. If that's the matchup, who knows if it will be or not, but where's the edge go there? Baker's an incredible player, an incredible dude. It's a tough edge to give because Selden also can do some things that Baker's not quite on par with.
Right. Baker's been more consistent throughout his career, so I guess you'd have to give the edge to Ron Baker in that one. And Wayne Selden has had some games, but he's had trouble shooting and finishing at the rim throughout the season. Terrific in the Big 12 tournament, but Ron Baker's got to get the edge.
Well, obviously another matchup that's key now is Takel Cotton and Kelly Oubre. There is a chance that Takel Cotton could be on Frank Mason. We've heard that a couple of places. Who knows if Wichita State will start that way or if they'll even go that way at all, but it's something to keep an eye on. If they don't, and if this matchup happens, who do you like, Cotton or Oubre?
Well, this in a way is the most interesting matchup in terms of, you would say that Kansas at its best is better than Wichita State at its best.
Sure.
But Wichita State plays closer to its best more consistently.
Yeah, right.
Kelly Oubre at his best is better than Cotton at his best.
Right.
But Cotton plays more consistently close to his best. So this is a tough question. I think Kelly Oubre is due for a big game. I'm going to go Kelly Oubre.
I like it. Yeah, I agree completely. I think that he just has the length, the ability to get into the paint, get to the free throw line. Those are things that are tough for anybody to stop. Obviously, when he does that and he attacks with purpose, he can get to the line in a hurry. So I lean toward Oubre that way too. Probably the most obvious mismatch in this game is the Perry Ellis-Evan Wessel matchup. Two Wichita Heights teammates that played together in high school, battling each other. Ellis, a much more polished, much more talented player, but they talked today about both being so excited about facing one another and matching up together. They know each other's games. It should be really interesting. Perry Ellis, clear matchup advantage.
Clearly, it's like Greg Marshall said, he doesn't seem to be, Perry Ellis doesn't seem to be quite the same player, but he said even when he's not quite the same with his knee, he's such a versatile player and has expanded his game so much that he goes from a great player to a really, really good player, is how Marshall put it. And I thought that was well put.
Sure, he's still got A, B, and C, and D, and E, and F, and G, and all these things that he can do if you take a couple of those letters away. So Perry said the knee looks fine, feels fine. He said
But it didn't look fine when he was playing, I didn't think.
Sure, he said in practice today, he felt like it looked better than it has, felt better than it has. He says the bottom line, it's mental. So we'll see what happens there. The last matchup is Landon Lucas for KU and Darius Carter for Wichita State. A couple months ago, it would have been an obvious Carter advantage. Lucas is playing at such a high level right now.
Yeah, it's a tough call.
I mean, probably a wash maybe, huh?
Maybe. And they played together. Athletes in Action toured in Europe, and they were teammates on that, so they know each other quite well. Carter's more explosive. And Lucas is bigger.
Right.
Maybe you give a slight edge to Carter, has more experience as a college basketball player. Relentless offensive rebounding team.
Yeah, they are. I'm just glad we have that storyline, that they play together in Europe, because this game doesn't have very many storylines. I mean, we really needed that one. There's also Frank Mason, played with a guy in prep school. I forget which guy it is in the Wichita State locker room, but he was teammates with one of the Shockers. These guys worked camps together in Wichita. It goes on and on and on. Kansas kids everywhere. It's really pretty incredible. But obviously, after all the hype, we've got stuff on KUsports.com from Benton Smith, Mike Yoder, Richard Gwynn, all day today, hyping this thing up, just as everyone else is. 4:15 on Sunday, the ball will be thrown up, the game will be on, and then it will be decided in 40, maybe 45 minutes. Who advances, who goes home? Are you going to make a pick?
Well, I think when the ball is in the air,
you'll know.
If it goes in and the buzzer sounds as the ball is in the air and it goes in,
that team will win?
That team will win. And heads, that's Wichita State. Tails, it's Kansas.
Okay.
Tails it is. Kansas wins.
I'm picking Kansas too. I just think it's fresh in my mind. I have lots of minds. How both teams played on Friday. I think Kansas looked better, looser, sharper. Wichita State played from behind. They were labored and they were worn out. So I think,
but they were efficient.
They were, but I think that advantage goes to Kansas, and I think the size and maybe some foul trouble on Wichita State's side will determine this game. I think it's a heck of a game. Cannot wait to be there. You guys will have all of our coverage, just like every game. We'll try to turn it up a notch too, just to make sure you get everything you need. KUsports.com. Thanks for checking out this episode of KU Sports Extra. For Tom Keegan, the coin flipper, I'm Matt Tait. We'll talk to you guys next time.